Hey friends, welcome to Bokeh, a podcast exploring the ever-blurring lines between the personal and business lives of professional photographers. This is your host, Nathan Holritz, and I'm bringing you a special episode of the Bokeh Podcast today called Workflow Wednesday. During these special edition episodes, myself and my co-hosts will focus on helping you develop more efficient daily and weekly workflows around post-production, communication, task and project management, time management, file and image management, and yes, the list does go on. We're going to save you an incredible amount of time in your work week, and we promise not to be too nerdy. This podcast is brought to you by Photographers Edit, custom image editing for the wedding and portrait photographer. Visit photographersedit.com.
Actually, I think we are officially live. Hey, everybody, welcome to Workflow Wednesday. Hey to Rich and Heather and Haylee. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
We didn't actually, Haylee and I were chatting a little bit before we got started, but Rich and Heather, we didn't really have any time for small talk before we started. How's your week been so far?
Good.
Awesome. The kids are in this like adventure camp, and Rich and I are like, so this is what it would be like to run a business, either with our kids in school, because we've been homeschooling for a few years now, or to not have kids. It's just crazy. The amount of time that, we're just on it. So we're enjoying
we're
making the most of our...
So much time.
Well, there's, I can completely understand. I mean, having two kids myself as well. Maybe Haylee, you can comment on what it's like to not have kids. You have dogs to take care of.
My dogs, man. I mean, I'm worried they're going to interrupt this, but I don't have to keep an eye on them 24/7. There's
something different though. So I was just interviewing Emma O'Brien, who's a photographer from, she lives in South Africa, originally from the UK. But she is a dog photographer, and she was describing what it's like to photograph a dog. Actually, she was describing a very specific scenario in which she was photographing a dog, I think for a magazine, but in a studio scenario, and trying to get this dog to cooperate. And it's sitting in behind her and coming and sitting next to her. What came to mind as we were chatting about this is how it's got to be relatively, I don't know. It seems like maybe you'd be a bit more forgiving, as sad as it may be, more forgiving to this really cute dog who's sitting next to you trying to lick your face versus a kid who won't cooperate for a portrait session who's screaming at you in the background. I think it would just be a different scenario. I don't know. What do you think, Haley?
Absolutely. Because I've actually moved away from family shoots because of kids that, don't cooperate. And then the parents are mad at you and you have to reshoot. And I've just moved away from it because I'd rather shoot a dog. Photograph a dog.
Shoot a dog. I love it.
It wasn't our passion either. Yeah. Turns out we like working with couples who are in love, and So,
for those of you who are joining in and maybe have never even joined us for Workflow Wednesday before, this is a production of Photographers Edit, an editing post-production company that I'm an owner of. We do custom editing for wedding and portrait photographers. But on Wednesdays, we do this little show called Workflow Wednesdays, in which we focus on the topic of how to create efficient workflows for ourselves as photography business owners. And it may seem a little bit nerdy, but the reality is literally everything that we do on a day-to-day basis is workflow in one form or another. And in order to create more freedom and flexibility for ourselves as business owners, which is really ultimately what Photographers Edit is about, we need to figure out ways to work more efficiently, to get rid of the stuff that doesn't matter, to do the stuff that does matter, and to do that stuff more efficiently. And so that is what the series is about. And rather than me just talk to the camera, I get to hang out with my friends and just have a conversation and talk about photographing dogs. I mean, how much better can you get than that? But anyway, so Rich and Heather are local photographers here in the Chattanooga market. And Haylee is also a photographer in the Chattanooga market, in addition to also working for Photographers Edit. And so we're going to chat a little bit today about the best 3 apps. We're titling it the best 3 apps for doing business on the go. We live in this really incredible age right now where we can pretty much run any and all of our business on the go from a mobile phone. And that's going to continue to be the case more and more, probably even to the extent that we don't even realize at this point. And so what I thought we'd do today is have a little bit of conversation about how, or maybe our favorite apps that we use on the go that enable us to work on the go if we need to, whether it's, we have to run to the store to pick up some groceries and last minute we have to take care of something with our business while we're out, or we're going on a month-long vacation and we don't want to have to take our computer with us. So we want to keep up with business occasionally by taking our phone with us. How do we get work done efficiently and effectively with this crazy little thing here? So that's what we're going to talk about. We are on Facebook Live. And then also this show will go out to the Bokeh Podcast later this evening. So for those of you who are listening into Bokeh, make sure, or not listening to Bokeh for that matter, make sure that you check out the Bokeh Podcast. And I'm going to put this up on the screen, but it's BOKEH Podcast, Bokeh Podcast on Instagram. And if you just go to bokehpodcast.com, you can listen to that and many other episodes there. And Ryan Duggar is chiming in.
Hey, Ryan.
Hello, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, good to see you.
We want your feedback as well. I mean, I think a lot of people will have a lot of great feedback in this one, where they would have their own apps that they really love. So, I mean, I'm just going to shout that out there to the universe that, hey, if you have a great app that you love to use to run your business, while we're talking, please share. I love it.
Absolutely. Great little call to action there, Rich. Thank you. I think maybe you should take over as host at this point.
You know what? Just get on it.
Awesome. Well, definitely. For those of you listening in, I know we're pushing this out to the Facebook page for Photographers Edit, but also to our personal pages and also to the local Chattanooga Photographers page. Everybody join in and have some conversation with us. Let's chat. But we're going to just very briefly, and this is something that I want to start doing more consistently. I hadn't before, but if you guys want to check out Rich and Heather's work, you can go to richsmithphotography.net.
.com will send you to .net anyway, so it will automatically forward it, so you can say .com. No worries.
And then Haley's website is Haley. It's just HaleyGaffin.com or HaleyGaffinPhotography.com.
It's HaleyGaffin.com.
HaleyGaffin.com. And I should actually prep that to put it up on the screen, but that's Haley like it sounds, HAYLEE, and then GAFFIN. And you can check out Haley's work there as well. And then of course, photographersedit.com. And that Rich, is something amusing happening already?
Oh, yeah. You say Haley's the way it sounds. And it took me forever to find her. I was searching for her, and I was spelling Haley the wrong way.
Every other way?
Oh, really?
Way,
okay.
Besides the way it's spelled. So because I was thinking HALLEY or HAIIE. They're just...
I'm putting it up on the screen now, so everybody.
There we go. There you
go.
That is
it is phonetic. It is.
Yeah, there you go. Haley.
And in case you need to figure out how to spell Rich, I'll also put that up on the screen.
Or Smith, for that matter.
Or Smith. Fair enough. Yeah.
SMYTHE.
SMIFF. That's my favorite story. I told someone my last name, and they SMIFF. No, that's not how Smith is spelled. Smith.
That would be pretty brilliant, actually.
True story.
Smith.
You probably need to grab that URL too, Rich.
Yes, yeah, Rich Smith Photography.
All right, well, so we're gonna get into our Workflow Wednesday for this week, and let's just dive into it. Rich and Heather, we normally start off with you guys. We want to hear your top 3, or if you have 5 or 6 or 7 apps that you find most effective and most efficient for doing business on the go. Would love to hear your thoughts on those. Go to town.
Oh, so you want to go for you want? Okay, I'll talk. I will. Oh, you want to start with Spark? Okay, Spark.
Okay.
Spark is my favorite one, and it's only getting better too. I have searched a lot. I've used a lot of email. Okay, so Spark is basically an email. So that's where you use your email. Okay, so what I love about Spark, I use a lot of them, a lot of the apps to write emails and everything. And so, but I love Spark because it has a lot of features and built inside of it that you can get to use for free that other apps or third-party apps charge you for. So for Spark, what I love to do about it is it only notifies you for important emails, like personal emails. So newsletters and other emails that are not that important, it will not notify you on your phone, which I really, really, really like. Okay. And so the second one is that you can actually schedule emails. So I can actually write an email and then tell it to send it sometime in the future. It could be anytime in the future. And that's
just as a question there. Why would you schedule it versus just sending it right then?
Yeah. So if I was had a meeting and I just got done meeting with someone, okay, and like a wedding vendor, and I could literally go out to my car, write an email to them, and for it to send it like literally 2 minutes after I finished meeting with them, a little bit creepy, but but I could say send this in 2 hours like that, or whatnot. And so I mean, like there are certain times where like I can be like. I can literally send an email to a vendor that I want to keep in touch with, and literally say, "Hey guys, how's it going? How's business going right now?" And tell it to send it like 1 month from now, and so or send it, So I know that I don't even have to remember it; it's going to do it automatically while I'm thinking about it, and the vendor thinks I'm more on top of it than I really am. I'm like, so sometimes
but simultaneously you don't look like you're stalking them.
Exactly. So
right.
so sometimes
this is Spark, right? I'm going to put this up on the screen, just like it sounds.
Yes, exactly, okay. Spark. Another really cool thing is that it will actually return email back to your inbox. You can make it so that if someone has not responded to an email, this is very, very valuable, especially for wedding inquiries. That it will actually return it back to the inbox to let you know, hey, this you might want to, email them again, or follow up with this email because no one has commented or replied back.
And this is kind of like something that I think Boomerang, I know Boomerang does, and still does. And it's also, I think I mentioned this to you the other day, Rich, but I noticed that the new version of Gmail is actually starting to notify me when somebody hasn't responded to an email that I send out.
Nice.
It pops it back into the inbox, and it's like, hey, you sent this 4 days ago and you don't have a response yet. Do you want to reply? Or something like, I don't remember the exact wording, but it gives me a heads up.
Nice.
That's handy. We were just talking this morning about Gmail, and with improved functionality, like the benefits that we see from Spark, knowing that could be, as that moves forward, we could switch over.
That's why I was telling Heather this morning that I was so excited about this conversation because apps move so quickly. I cannot keep up with it. So a lot of times I will change apps simply because I've talked to someone. It's word of mouth, like, oh, okay, there's actually a better way of doing it. This is how I do it right now, but I guarantee you someone is probably, there's another app that does it better than that. So that's why I love talking about this, because I love to get other people's feedbacks. So, yeah.
And also because you're a bit of a nerd, Rich.
I am such.
I say that lovingly because I am as well. So
I love apps. I love gadgets. If I would go broke so quickly if I didn't have a wife to kind of rein me in, because I would want every new gadget that pops on the market.
Oh, you guys and your nerdy bromance.
I'll give you a hug later, Rich.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
All right. So
no pats on the back.
Okay, right. Okay, so we have to, this is just a laid back conversation today anyway. We have to at least comment on this. For all of those, for those of you listening in, I don't know if you've noticed this, but when guys give each other a hug, this actually happens between guys and girls too, I guess understandably. But when guys give each other a hug, there's a tendency a lot of times to, I guess, kind of minimize the felt awkwardness. Some guys feel awkward giving other guys hugs. They, instead of doing this kind of just still embrace, they do a pat on the back. It's like almost like a attaboy kind of thing, like you're out playing sports, playing football with your friends, or just like pat on the back, as opposed to actually like just giving a legit hug. And so I gave Rich a really hard time about this years ago, I guess now. Yes. And it's an inside joke ever since. And so now, like if there's even a hint of patting, I have to give him a hard time. And Heather is laughing because we've all kind of joked about this.
Well, now you guys just flat out embrace, which is really special.
It's very special.
Yeah, I pause even a little bit too long. Just I'll let go first. Just to make sure.
I'm not letting go.
I'm not letting go.
So I would challenge all of you listening in. The next time you give somebody a hug, don't be so awkward about it. Just give them a hug. You're friends. There's no reason to be uncomfortable. No pats allowed.
That's right.
All right.
That's right.
Hashtag no pats allowed. I think we're going to have to actually make that a trending hashtag or something.
Nice.
All right. So Spark was the first app. Take us to the next one.
Another one that we use on a very regular basis, this is extremely practical, is Milebug. We We absolutely love, for photo shoots, for photographer meetings and gatherings, for obviously weddings and such. We have both of our vehicles saved in Milebug. And every time, we even have a reminder set to every time we leave the house, a little reminder will pop up, notification on our phone, on our screens, just to say, and what's cool about that is that it keeps you continually, when you're leaving the house, focused on whether you're running a business errand or not. If you're going to go meet up with a vendor, we're going to include that mileage in our odometer. So we enter that. When we get to the end of our trip, we enter that and it pops up with the deduction, that the dollar amount of deduction that you're going to see for your business because of that business trip that you just took, which is beautiful because we had a CPA tell us one time, it's no small thing to track your mileage in business. It is actually significant. It's actually pretty substantial. Yeah, and ever since then, we try to be really great about, and that just, the Milebug app just makes it very, very easy, very straightforward. We're able to print off a report at the end of the year and actually submit it to our CPA. Yep. And I just highlight the total of miles that we drove between the two vehicles. And so we get that tax deduction.
Haylee, I'm literally going to go download it right now. I don't know why I haven't been using this because I'll track mileage manually by taking a picture and then writing down the mileage in Evernote later or whatever. It's way too manual process.
Okay. Haylee, you can actually export this as an Excel spreadsheet through the app. It'll email you.
You'll love it, Haylee.
Haylee is totally up your alley.
I have a different app I use for my mileage. I'll get to that though.
Okay. The reason Rich brought up, and I'm downloading this app right now because
it's so great, Nathan.
I like the idea of being notified before you go because it can be easy to forget. Yes. Oh shoot, I need to write down the starting mileage or the ending mileage. Yeah. So I'm going to, and it is a paid app, but it looks like they've got a light version and a free version or a paid version.
Yeah. Check it out. So there's an adapter you can actually attach to your older car. I guess newer cars even have this, but it's called automatic. And the automatic will actually, it actually sees when your car comes on and it'll actually track it, all that mileage automatically. But we have one of those, and it's not as sometimes it logs me out, and I don't even know that it's not doing it automatically for a couple of weeks. There has been times where it actually messed up. I do like the idea of it being I don't have to even think about it,
fully automatic.
But there's been too many times that it messed up, and I wasn't aware that messed up, and then I've lost several weeks of tracking. So,
Does Milebug track? Is it tracking distance via GPS, or do you have to enter in the mileage?
You just enter into the mileage, and so basically what we did is we created a reminder in the Apple phone, and where you can create a reminder that says, "Remind me when I leave a location or when I come back to a location." So, so we just created two notifications that said when we leave our home, it was send me a notification that says
record your mileage.
Record your mileage, you idiot. So,
do you get to customize the message?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to. So I like to call myself idiot all the time. Makes me feel.
So I want to throw out my app really fast, just since we're on the topic, because it's a little different. I use QuickBooks Self-Employed app. And it does it by GPS. So it tracks every single ride that I take. And then a couple times a week, I'll go in and I try doing it every day just so I don't have to think back on where I actually drove, but I can swipe one way and it goes to business and the other way it goes personal.
Oh, okay.
Cool. I don't ever enter in the miles. It automatically captures it for me. Okay. So I don't have to think about it. And then at the end of the year, or I guess when tax season comes around, when they ask you how many miles did you drive personal versus business, it's all, I can just separate it and see. And I don't have to deduct I started the year with this many miles and it ended up with this. I just look at the business versus personal category.
So you're swiping like Tinder. Okay. So it's the Tinder app of Milebug, like mile recording, so I like it.
So many thoughts. But we'll just say, for those of you who don't have the luxury of being able to use Tinder, make sure you download the QuickBooks Self-Employed ad.
Exactly.
Should you feel inclined to be able to swipe left or right?
Yeah. Exactly. And being married for 12, 13 years now, my wife's probably wondering how I know how Tinder works. So it's a fairly popular app. I've heard other people make, I know.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. From a friend.
Oh, this is going downhill, guys.
Moving on. App number 3.
Oh, this one's a little unusual, but it has saved, like you were talking about time-saving apps. This has saved us so much time.
Do you guys use Park Mobile?
Park Mobile.
I have. Well, I think I've downloaded it. I just saw it on my phone.
We use this all the time.
This is the most time-saving app I think we own. Yeah. It's awesome because when there's several other around the country. There's several other types like pay to park, I think, or pay by phone. There's an app for those companies, but basically all does the same thing. When you park downtown, then you get out of your car. You can be walking around away from your car, paying for your parking while you're walking away from your car. If you are in there for longer than need be, then you can literally, from wherever you are, you can actually renew it. You can put more time onto it. You don't have to go back out to your car. And so, I mean,
for all the photo shoots, for all the weddings, which so much of that for us is in the downtown area. Yeah. And it's paid parking. This just keeps it streamlined, easy to track. You get a reminder when you have 15 minutes left. You can renew more time if you need to. This is just an ongoing, regular help for us in our business. And even for photographer meetings and meeting with vendors and things like that. So there's so much of that. Yeah.
I think I downloaded it the other day actually to use it here in Chattanooga, but this is something that is nationwide.
So it is a lot of cities, but there are, like in Fort Lauderdale, it's a different company, and so they're in Fort Lauderdale. But
a different app.
I think it's called Pay by Phone, but it's an app. I think. Yeah. Anyway, so it's for
same idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make a big difference, especially when you're on the go and you don't have a lot of time to go searching for it on wedding days. I mean, traveling from location to location, you don't have time to go searching for parking when you have to jump into the reception and photograph the bride.
Yeah, in fact, they have a new functionality now where like you can actually reserve parking, or you can actually see which parking garages actually still have parking. So it's great. It's great.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. And Heather, I think you said that you had some honorable mentions as well.
Oh, gosh.
We do. Obviously, being on the go for our business, we will leave town for a couple weeks at a time, and we are able to accept payments on Venmo, which is an app that we've talked about before on Workflow Wednesday. But that's an app that allows us to be on the go and to accept payments. Along with Bank of America, because we're able to mobile deposit any checks that may come in.
Because we don't take credit cards.
Yeah. So,
well, and I was going to say, maybe if you can kind of jump in here and just do a summary of what we talked about regarding Venmo, because this was still one of the most, I think, impactful or valuable little tips that you guys shared for those photography business owners who are having to run payments from clients via, or are used to doing so via credit card. How do you guys do it instead, Rich and Heather?
We either take Venmo, which is basically my customers will actually send, it's basically bank transfer for the most part. They can pay with a credit card, but the payment, the like 2.99% or whatever the credit card will charge, it actually sends it to my customer, not to me. That does not charge to me. So and so if my client insists, I want the airline miles, or I need these points, I'm like, sure, go ahead, still use Venmo, but you're going to be charged instead of me, maybe 100, however is 3% is, So if it's viable for them, we can totally do that.
So very simply, I mean, they're saving on that credit card transaction fee, which Rich, you pointed out when we originally talked about this, that you saved how many $1,000s in a year?
Yeah, I could have easily taken it. Was a little over. It was a couple of $1,000. It was enough to take my family on a nice vacation. Yep. So
have you made up for that since? That's the important question.
Oh yeah.
So Venmo and
Holly, actually, I'm sorry, Heather, to interrupt you. Holly commented here that somebody mentioned Venmo the other day, and that she needs to check it out. But certainly, if it means that you're going to save, whether it's $100 or $1,000 or $10,000, anything that we can do as photography business owners to save that extra cash is good. Venmo, and then I'm sorry, Rich, did you mention another app as well?
Well, I mentioned using Bank of America when we're on the go because we're able to mobile deposit any checks that come in. So this kind of goes hand in hand with Venmo for the clients who aren't paying via bank transfer. If they want to send us a check down to Fort Lauderdale when we're down there, we can deposit that check, open that Bank of America app, get a confirmation number. It's beautiful. It's very simple. And then the ease of transferring money between personal and business accounts also allows us to be on the go with our finances.
Mobile banking has saved us so much time.
So much time. We rarely have to visit a banking center anymore, which is wonderful.
It's awesome. That's awesome. It saved us hundreds of hours.
And to piggyback on the Venmo and Bank of America is the Expensify app.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that?
Well, I think Nathan's going to talk about that.
Okay, Nathan, we don't want to steal your thunder.
Nathan told me about this app. So, I mean, he's the expert with this thing, you know?
Yeah.
Prism is another app that we use a lot. And that's basically, again.
Is that Prism, Prism or ZM?
Yes. Yeah. SM.
Yeah.
SM, Prism.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if they were using some funky spelling.
So basically that's a bill pay thing. And again, it just saves us time from having to run around or even write checks to put it in the mail or anything like that. It pays almost all bills over your phone anywhere you are. So
I think I need to download that one as well here in just a second. Ryan,
Mint used to do that, but they quit doing it about I think in a couple of days it's going to be gone. So
we use Mint for our budgeting,
right?
But they just took away. They just took that functionality away as far as bill pay.
Yeah, so Prism is a great alternative. I'm not sure why they took it away. So.
Yeah, that's ideally you'd have it all in one place. But so Prism. And then Ryan actually commented, he said, and I'm going to put this up on screen. Haley, sorry, you're getting covered up again on the bottom down there.
Right.
He said, I use an app called Sunseeker all of the time. You can see the path of the sun for any given day of the year and address or in any address or location you will be shooting at. Great for when you're scouting a location and want to see where the sun will be during your shoot. Nail the golden hour every time.
Yes.
That is really, really good. Rich, do you use a similar app?
I do. I can't remember what it's called though.
It's been a little while since you talked about it.
I'll be right back. Let's see.
Oh, he's leaving. Okay.
Heather.
Should I do a song and dance while he's away?
But there are a number of apps out there that allow photographers to be able to look at not only the time of the sunset or sunrise, but actually see virtually. I mean, like literally, or hold the app up and look and see which direction the sun is going to be pointing at that particular time of the day, so you can plan on how you're going to handle that shoot or photograph that wedding. So that's really, really important.
Yeah, it's called Helios. Helios.
That sounds like it would be the Greek word for sun or something.
Yes.
Helios.
So, I'm not sure how, when I got it, it was like a $25 app. I'm not sure if it's gone down in price or not, but I've had it forever. But it literally is, when I'm in a location, it actually does a virtual sun. So I can actually use my phone and I can just like track where the sun's going to be and it'll actually show the background, but it'll actually show like a virtual sun where it's going to be tracking across the sky. It's amazing.
That's a great one, Ryan. Thanks for weighing in. We didn't even think to talk about that one in this particular topic. So
absolutely, that does make a big difference. I will add that there is a $30 app that is Helios Sun and Moon. Is that the one that you were talking about?
It's going up in price. Wow.
Okay, but there's another one that is just called Helios Magic Hour, and it looks like it's by a totally different company. It's only 99 cents.
Okay,
so
nice.
Those listening, you might go for that. But there are a number of them out there, and there are some that are virtual reality or augmented reality perspectives that enable you to be able to see, kind of like Rich was talking about. And that's really powerful for photography. Haley, let's go to you. What kind of apps are you using these days?
Yeah, so the most generic ones probably Google Calendar and Google Mail, so Gmail. I just being able to schedule something at any time is really important because I could be in the middle of, one of our meetups and someone say, hey, let's meet up for coffee this other day and blah, blah, blah. So that's super generic.
To that point, and this is something that we've talked about on well, I don't know necessarily on Workflow Wednesday, but certainly on the Bokeh Podcast before. And that is the significance of just being very proactive and sticking something in the calendar. It's amazing these days how hard it seems to be for photographers in particular to just commit to something and get together. And of course, that can apply on a personal level, but then also on a business level. Instead of kind of leaving a big question mark and a virtual question mark in midair, if you will, open up that calendar, schedule something, commit to it, let that calendar kind of be your Bible, if you will, that you just follow. Once that thing's in there, you do it and no questions asked. It really doesn't need to be so complicated to schedule things, and using something like Google Calendar or the calendar app on your phone, whatever it might be, is a great tool for that. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I think it's an important point of conversation, but please continue, Haylee.
My second, I've kind of lumped them into categories because I couldn't pick like one over the other. So that was the first one. And then the second one is QuickBooks, my bank account. I actually have two bank accounts, one personal, one business. So just keeping all of those. The QuickBooks is the primary one because I can track my transactions, anything that's going in and out of my business. I can track mileage, which is really nice. And then I can also invoice really quickly if needed. Like if someone just wants, I had a shoot the other day that they were going to pay me in cash and then they asked for a receipt for tax purposes, just the way it was set up. And so I just sent them a really quick invoice and just marked it as paid so that they had a receipt for it. But then what else was it that QuickBooks does? Well, there was something else I had on my mind. Either way, if I think of it, I'll come back to it. But and I was just going to say too, like that's the, I was thinking about what it's been like, the implementation of technology for businesses over the years. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I was taking advantage of like 6, 7, 8 years ago, when it was kind of a weird concept for photographers to actually leverage the technology that was out there. Rich, you were probably experimenting with it then as well.
Oh, yeah.
I like to see that this is becoming much more mainstream right now. And hopefully for most of you listening in, none of this stuff is a surprise, that you're already leveraging this technology. But if you're not, don't hesitate to immediately download, at least test all of these apps, because what we want to try to figure out how to do is not just simply kind of get stuck in our businesses as photography business owners and just react haphazardly to everything coming in, but very proactively run our businesses. And apps like these, especially something like QuickBooks Self-Employed, which enables you to kind of pile everything into one app almost. It really improves the efficiency of your business, helps minimize the busy work, and maximize the freedom that you have as a business owner. So that's huge. Yeah.
And then the other one is going to do exactly what you just said. I have 2 project management apps that I use, Todoist that we use at Photographers Edit, and then Asana that I use on my own. And it's really nice. Like if I don't know about you guys, but if at any time you're just enjoying life and not business, but something pops into your head and you're like, oh, that'd be a really good idea. It's so easy to just throw it in. Like, remember to research this thing, or remember to create, social media post for this to promote it, or whatever it might be. I can just easily go into those apps, type a note really fast, and it's there. And I'm reminded when I go to work the next day.
Heather, you're do you have a thought there?
Nope.
No, I have a thought as usual. So yeah, I get that time when I'm trying to go to sleep. That's when the thoughts hit me. For me to actually go to sleep peacefully, I had to write it down. So yeah, Todoist is a godsend. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. I love that.
It really is, and I'm glad that you made that point, Haylee, because to say, hey, go use a task manager or project manager may seem overwhelming, or again, maybe even a little bit too nerdy to some. But there is so much going on in here, or hopefully a lot going on in here for all of us, and the reality, especially in this very noisy world that we live in, and to have a place to be able to do kind of a mind dump, to unload everything, as Rich was talking about and Haylee was talking about, it's so important for the sake of kind of minimizing the busyness in our mind when we do go to bed at night. So my suggestion would even be to do this at the end of the workday. But certainly having access to that app any and everywhere is really nice, because you can very quickly put it in there. You're not going to forget about it. You can add it to your today list so that the next day it pops up and you can address it right away. That's really, really important. So,
and this goes back to an earlier conversation that we've had in one of our earlier Workflow Wednesdays, we talked about software that we use in our business. And we've obviously talked about our client management software. And this goes back to when I was talking about how we use ShootQ for our CMS, but Todoist is what we use when we need to be mobile and on the go, because sadly, this is the one thing for our business that we wish we had a more portable solution for, because they've not developed the software to the point where there's a usable app. And so we use Todoist because of that reason. So if we're not sitting at one of our laptops logged into ShootQ, then those things that rattle around in our brains that we, those aren't accessible.
Let me in, they have a new version of ShootQ. I've been requested I want to get in. They won't let me in yet.
Okay.
As a legacy user.
ShootQ, if you're listening in, Rich.
Let me in.
Let this be our cry for help. We are on the legacy system, is what it's called.
Yes, yeah, and it's a really old system, and that they quit developing years ago. And so even the website is not mobile friendly. So the new ShootQ, I'm not sure if they have a mobile app, but their actual website is mobile friendly. Hey, what we can do.
We'll send some hopefully some good vibes out to ShootQ. We'll get some response here. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what ShootQ is, it's a CRM. There are a number of CRM options out there, customer relationship managers, that enable you to be able to effectively and again proactively and efficiently manage your business and all that is associated with working with your clients. ShootQ is one of the options out there. But yet again, Todoist is wonderful on multiple levels, certainly for a place to just kind of unload everything in your mind. Also for the sake of managing tasks and projects and being able to create separation within those. There is a big difference. If you say, hey, I'm going to go clean the garage today, that just seems overwhelming. You're not going to get it done. But if you break up that project into multiple tasks, multiple steps, and you just take them one by one, it's a lot less overwhelming. Of course, this translates to business on all types of levels again. Yes. But the significance of breaking up projects into multiple steps is really, really important for the sake of getting things done. And then it's also great, Haylee alluded to this, the ability to be able to share tasks and projects with others on your team, whether it's your partner like Rich and Heather, or maybe you have, like myself and Haylee actually share tasks or projects through Todoist when we're working together at Photographers Edit. You can also, if you just simply want a task management system that, by the way, is free to get started with, where you want to share a shopping list with your significant other, you can do that too. So it can all go in there, and it's very, very easy to use, very minimal. They haven't incorporated too many moving parts in that are unnecessary. So it's very easy to use. It's a great app.
And it works with Alexa. So
even better. And by the way, it works with Google as well. So Google, yeah.
Nice.
And Siri finally incorporated the ability to be able to do that on the phone. It was a little bit annoying. They did it for a little while. So.
Can you guys hear that? Our Alexa is literally talking to us right now.
Alexa, stop.
She hears the name, man. I tell you.
She's like a whole over. My goodness.
Yeah. So scary. Kind of creepy.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Haylee, do you have anything else you want to add to the mix there?
Yeah, so I did have an honorable mention as well.
Okay.
Being a social media manager, all of the social apps. So Buffer is probably the best one for managing on the go. If something pops up at any moment, I can just go in and switch around my schedule. And then just being able to engage and respond with, clients on social media is really nice as well. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
I have a question for you about Buffer, Haylee. We have started to use Hootsuite, and we were wondering if you have compared and contrasted those two.
Buffer's the best.
Okay, well, there you go.
That's all we needed to know.
Say no more. We'll just.
No, when I first met with Nathan and he told me they were using Buffer, Buffer as their app, I was so excited because I've gone through all of them. I've done CoSchedule, I've done Hootsuite. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Planoly. I've used all of them. I've tried them all out. Buffer is my favorite. It's the most user-friendly one. But my favorite part about it is I can schedule one post to go on all platforms and then change the message. Whereas a lot of the others, I don't know if they've incorporated it recently. I know CoSchedule hasn't, but you have to individually upload every single channel, even if it's the same message. So that's what's really the main reason I like Buffer. And then also they have I don't know what it's called, like a grid layout of Instagram. So it'll show you what your Instagram will look like after you've scheduled everything, if that's one thing you're trying to look at on as far as keeping a pretty Instagram.
Well, and I have to add to it, I don't Hootsuite from a UI perspective, I'm a little bit obsessed with design and user friendliness, UI, UX. When I go to Hootsuite, they've not really changed their UI probably in 15 years or however long they've been around. And it's so extremely busy. Like when I go and I see 50 columns right there, and I know you can customize it to an extent, but you 50 different columns right there in front of you and all this stuff going on versus just focusing on the task at hand.
Right.
Photographers have a hard enough time with this multitasking issue and attention.
Yes.
It's just not a very user-friendly interface, I don't think, in a very great modern design. Buffer is very, very clean, very, very simple user interface, and for that matter, very efficient to get stuff done as well. Haylee, of course, is the majority of the time is managing that. I've had to actually manage it occasionally, and it is very easy to use. So, and the grid feature, that must be a new one, Haylee?
Nope, it's been there for a long time.
Has it been there for a while? Okay.
Well, it's not on there's a free version that you can get. It's not available on that one, but on the paid version it is. So I have Buffer for both Photographers Edit and then my own personal as well. And I use the free one for my personal just because I don't schedule out more than a week of content. But for Photographers Edit, it's just really nice to be able to see, like I can change around some of our images if they don't look as great together. But yeah, I really love it. Yeah.
Nice.
That's helpful. Yeah. Thanks.
Cool. Well, I'll just you guys have really touched on probably the majority of the ones that I would mention at this point too. And I think that's good. There's a certain paradox. In fact, there's a book called Paradox of Choice. These days when we have so many different choices, you can get lost in the process of making a choice. We're lucky enough to be in a first world culture where we have that luxury, that time to be able to do that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, the more time we waste going through the 50 different options, we're not going to be able to get to the work as soon as we should. So by just taking 2 or 3 recommendations from friends, or in this case, I think relatively good sources, Rich and Heather and Haylee, you can get right to work and do so efficiently. But I'll reiterate Todoist. My life kind of lives in really a combination of Todoist and Evernote. And I guess I'll mention Dropbox as well, because those 3 apps, and I'll throw one more out there. In fact, 1Password.
Yes.
Those 4 apps, essentially my life lives in them. And they enable me to be able to do pretty much any and everything on the go, have access to any and everything on the go. And that does enable me to be very, very focused. So I would say those are my top 4 apps. As far as how I use them to do it, I already mentioned the significance of breaking tasks and projects into separate or to treating them separately. And that really does matter when it comes to working efficiently and actually getting things done. Not being so overwhelmed that you just kind of give up and walk away. And so that's really important. The ability, of course, to be able to share tasks as well, and an extremely simple user interface. Again, you can find different apps out there, but they, in some cases, will either, it's just poor design to begin with, or they may have decent design, but they overcomplicate by adding too many features. We don't need features to distract us. We need to get work done. And Todoist is really great for its minimal interface. I mentioned Evernote. At this point, I probably have, and by the way, Caitlin just said, will we post links to these apps? Absolutely. Caitlin, thanks for asking. We're going to actually post these in the show notes at bokehpodcast.com. That's bokehpodcast.com. And I'll go ahead and pop this up on the screen so you can see it here. And this episode would go out on Bokeh Podcast tonight or by this evening. And we'll have the show notes there at bokehpodcast.com probably by about between 5 and 6. Is that right, Haylee?
Between 4 and 5, hopefully.
Oh, even better. Awesome.
Yeah.
But thanks for asking, Caitlin. We will link to all these in the show notes. But Evernote, at this point, I've been using it probably for 7-8 years. I know we've talked about this a little bit before. And but I've got roughly 10,000 documents or so in Evernote because I've been using it for so long and so extensively. It's a great place to do that very thing, take notes. And so anything text or document related goes into Evernote for me. And they're all separated into, I don't know, probably at this point about between 60 and 80 different folders just for the sake of organization. And then, of course, you have very, very powerful search functionality built into Evernote that is just incredible. again, for both personal and business reasons. So Evernote's a go-to for sure. Let's see, the other one that I mentioned, Dropbox, pretty straightforward, pretty obvious reasons there. Although I will say that I do add my personal photos to Dropbox and keep them very organized. We talked about this, I think, maybe even in the last episode or a couple episodes ago. So make sure you go back and listen to some of the older Workflow Wednesday episodes. Dropbox is a pretty obvious one. And then the other one that I mentioned is 1Password. If you guys aren't using a password manager of some kind, first of all, for the sake of variety in your passwords, not using the same thing any and everywhere, at the end of the day, if a hacker who knows what they're doing wants to get in, they're going to literally be able to break into any and everything that you have. It doesn't matter, but you can minimize that opportunity, at least for the amateurs, by using different passwords. And at this point, in fact, if I pull up 1Password, I'll just do this right now for the sake of conversation.
Yeah, show us all your passwords.
Yeah.
I won't actually pop this up on screen, but I have, let me see.
We just want to know, what's your master password?
Yeah.
There is and actually, I'm glad that you bring that up, Heather, because there is a master password that you have to have memorized in order to get in and access 1Password as an app itself. And then within 1Password, of course, all of the passwords for the various, whether it's serial numbers for your software, login information for websites. You can put social security numbers in there, wireless router information. If you're traveling and you like to have access to your friends and your family's Wi-Fi passwords, you can save those so you don't have to ask them again. Information about, login information for email accounts, driver's license, passports. I mean, all kinds of details you can save within that app, and it synchronizes through Dropbox, maybe even through iCloud if you don't use Dropbox. Keeps everything in sync, and I've literally used this for years, and it's been one of the most, absolutely one of the most powerful apps that I've had the opportunity to use. Sorry, I'm multitasking here, looking at apps, and then
No, this one is so good that I'm sad that we didn't think to mention it, and because this is a competition and you won.
Yeah, that was the best one. But one of the coolest features of 1Password now is that it will actually it will look at everywhere you have stored a password, and it will tell you, because it will know that if a particular company has been compromised.
Okay.
And it will so it will let you know, hey, go change this password immediately.
Interesting. That's really cool.
Whatnot. So it will actually kind of keep track of like, hey, you need this password is really old. You need to change it. It's too weak. You need to change it. Or this particular company has been compromised. You need to go change your password there as well. So it's a really, really cool, powerful.
Yeah. It is powerful, and they went to more recently, I think, went to a subscription model. 1Password did, I think, what is it, Rich, like $3 a month or something like that?
$2.99.
Okay.
Yeah, $2.99. Yeah.
For that amount, the amount of time that you save, I'm always amazed when friends, family, whoever, when they have to go log in somewhere or pull up a password and they're like, oh, shoot, I don't remember where I left that. And they pull up their phone and they're looking at their notes app, and then they're going to the computer and doing a search or looking for a Word document. It's too complicated. And these are the kinds of things, as nerdy as they may seem, once you take the time to implement a system like 1Password, the amount of time that you'll save over time is just mind-boggling. And you'll realize it as soon as you start to do it. So you have to trust us initially. And you go for it. Ryan, I know, and I have to apologize because I'm smiling and everybody can see me smiling as Rich is talking. Rich, I wasn't laughing at you. Ryan comment. I'm going to put it up here on the screen.
I wondered.
Ryan commented that the global password could be no pats. Yes.
So, I love it.
For those of you who weren't listening earlier in the show, hit the rewind button. You can go back and listen later on. Thanks for that, Ryan. A little bit of comic relief.
Ryan is just like subtly let you know that he listened to the whole
thing. He's like, I'm still here, guys.
Thank you, Ryan. And Tina said, wow, great info, guys, especially for us unorganized and non-techie togs.
Nice.
Work smarter, not harder. And that is so true. It really is so true. And just to add a little caveat to that, Tina, because it really is a great point. But I had kind of an imbalance in the way that I was managing my life. And I may have alluded to this before in the podcast, but I got so obsessed with the idea of working less, creating companies that would generate passive income for me and working just a few hours a week, that I went to such an extreme that it hurt my business in some ways. I was working as little as 3 or 4 hours a week. I was lucky in a position to be able to do that. Our culture now has gone to the other place, hashtag hustle. and where we've gone to kind of the other extreme where it's like work all the time. If you're a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, you hear him preach that. And I have so much respect for Gary and his work ethic, but I still have to wonder, like, how much of that busyness or the quote hustle is just that, it's busyness versus getting work done intelligently. So Tina, I'm glad that you make that point about working smarter. It is about working smarter, and we can even say work smarter and harder in some cases, but certainly working intelligently. It doesn't mean that we don't also work hard, but the work that we do put in, the time that we do put in, we're doing so intelligently, and that is the key. And so it's a great point, Tina. Jameson says, it's okay, I laugh at Rich all the time.
Jameson, what's up? I love that man.
Oh, man. Get that off the screen.
Hey, Jameson, or I should say to Jameson, konnichiwa. Jameson and I have conversations about Japanese a decent amount. So hopefully we'll get a chance to connect with person soon. But I will add I'll add one more app to the mix here, just as we close, as we're finishing up, have a couple of minutes left. And that is an app called Filmic Pros. So F-I-L, actually, you know what? Instead of spelling it out, I'm going to put it up on the screen for everybody too. But F-I-L-M-I-C, for those of you listening in on the podcast, Pro, Filmic Pro. And this is an app for those of you who want to create good video content. I will be the first to say, use the built-in camera app. It's the easiest to pull up. It's the quickest, easiest access. That's what you should be using. But Filmic Pro kind of gives you the opportunity, it does give you the opportunity to be able to have what I would call, and Ryan's listening in. Ryan's a videographer, so he may even be able to comment on this too. But
and Jameson,
and Jameson for that matter. Jameson, sorry, I didn't mean to exclude you there. But Filmic Pro gives you some functionality that you can't get with the built-in camera app on your phone. That is extremely, extremely powerful. I've used this app in the past for creating content, and it's really amazing. So if you happen to forget your SLR, you want to create some video content for your business, Filmic Pro is a go-to. It takes a little bit of time. There's a little bit of a learning curve because it's pretty involved. It has a lot of different features, but it is a pretty powerful app. So make sure you check out Filmic Pro. In closing, we've just got a couple minutes left. What I want to do is bring everybody back in, and very quickly, if you'll throw out your 10-second tip, a bonus tip, if you will, for a time-saving tip when it comes to using the phone. Do you have just like something that comes to the top of your mind here, saving time, and not just using your phone, but the way you use your phone, I guess more intentionally?
Ooh. Oh, my word.
Put on the spot.
Whoa.
I have one.
Do you have one? Okay, go for it.
So I took all of my social apps and put them let me see if I can pull. Well, if you're listening on the podcast, it's a little different. You're not going to see. But you know how you can move these around?
Scroll through the pages of apps. Yeah. Yep.
So all of my social apps are on one page, and all of my work apps are on a different page, so that if I'm working, I'm not distracted by social. Because the first thing I do, it doesn't matter if you're asking me to look up my calendar, I out of habit go to Instagram because it's just my favorite app. I know where it's at. It's the top right or top left corner. I just click and but if I'm on my work page, it doesn't actually do that. So that's my biggest tip, is just separating all of your apps into different categories based on what you use them for and when you need them.
I like it. It's all about focus on the task or tasks at hand. So I like that.
Now, who was the one that said she was ADHD? What user was that?
During this show today?
Yes.
Yeah. Who
was that? Holly Brown? Was that Holly?
No, actually, yeah. I think. Let's see. I'm scrolling back through. Sorry, we've got a lot of different comments. Thanks for everybody, by the way, for logging in and listening in. Tina, actually, I brought it back up on the page.
Tina.
There.
Okay, Tina, this is for you. Okay?
Lean in, Tina.
All right, Tina. I am as well an ADHD, but I am techie by ADHD. Okay, this app will change your life. Okay, I promise you. All right.
We're waiting with here, Rich.
Oh yeah.
Do share.
And so my wife would tell you that I need to use this app a little bit more than I do, but it is great when I do use it. It's called Forrest. Okay, and it sounds. Forrest, yes, Forest. So this has helped me so much, and it's so simple in what it does. But what it does is basically you plant a tree. You basically push a button to plant a tree. And then you basically tell it for like how long you want to focus, like 25 minutes, an hour, whatever you want to do. Okay. And so the longer you're focused, the bigger this tree will get. If you get out of that app for any reason, I think it gives you like 5 seconds to get back in the app, but you will kill your tree. And then you feel really bad for killing out. It sounds silly, but it works. It works. Tina. Nathan's making fun of me right now. It works. Okay. I'm telling you. All right.
Well, but because the irony here is, like, do you get distracted then watching the tree grow?
No. If you pick up the phone at all, it will say, "Quit looking at me," or something.
Oh, okay.
It will always say, "Put your phone down." It will say, "Get back to work." It will have something to be like, "Get off your phone." So basically, for 25 minutes or an hour, I will put that on. And then you can look and see the forest that you've grown, like maybe this day, or you can show the week or the whole month.
I know, Nathan. I know.
And you have different kind of trees. So you can have like a really pretty tree or an evergreen.
Tina's saying, "Run, Forrest, run."
Run, Forrest.
Tina, go download it. You'll thank me. You'll thank me.
Gosh.
And Amanda said yes to Tina too. I think she's on board with how Tina feels about this show. We
actually did an entire podcast with Nathan on the Bokeh Podcast a few months back on focus and people who deal with attention issues, and Rich, had a lot of tips to share in that podcast.
Yeah, you could literally just turn off your phone and lock it in a drawer, or you could use Forrest. Okay, so I mean, like, come on, it's easier. Then you get to build and grow a beautiful forest. It's wonderful, Tina.
One of my first podcasts that I edited was that episode that you're talking about, and Rich just like explains it with so much passion now.
I love this app.
Playing it in my head.
I love this app.
Well, I'm gonna throw one in here to the mix, and it very much is relevant to what Richard's just talking about. But very simply, and this may seem ridiculous, it's so simple, but when you're at a meeting or hanging out with your friends or your family or going to lunch with people or going to dinner, flip the phone over. Turn it over so you can't see it. I am absolutely, honestly, I'm blown away by the, I'll just say it, the rudeness that happens when I'm hanging out with groups of people and people are constantly on the phone. You could literally be having a conversation with them, whether it's direct individually with them or with them and 2 or 3 other people, whatever the case may be. And literally they pick up that phone and they go to Instagram or they go to Facebook, and it says a lot without saying a whole lot. But it's put the phone down, flip it upside down so you can't see it. Turn the notifications off on your watch if you have a watch.
Yes.
Focus. Be present with the people there. Yeah. If they're not important enough for you to do that, then we have a whole different conversation to but
or use Forrest.
Or use Forrest. But then you have to pick up that phone again. Don't pick up the phone.
No. You won't be able to pick up the phone.
You have to start it, though, don't you, Rich?
Yeah, you have to start it.
Okay.
You say, Nathan, hold on for a second. Let me start focus. Let me start Forrest. Boom. Now you can start talking. I cannot look at my phone.
Now you are important enough to pay attention to. Okay.
And by the way, and you get points. You get points, and you can literally use these points to actually plant a real tree somewhere in the world. So I mean, so it's literally you could. So that's no laughing matter there. Boom. Yeah.
Okay. Bigger picture value. We'll just end on that note. Rich, thank you so much for sharing Forrest with us. Rich and Heather both, thank you for sharing with us, and Haylee as well today. This has been Workflow Wednesday. Again, for those of you who are listening on the podcast side, we do this live on Facebook. If you just go to facebook.com/photogsedit, PHOTOGSEDIT. That is our Facebook page. You can watch the video live, and you can also go back and watch the reruns, which is great. And then also, if you are not listening to the podcast, you're on the live video, but you're not listening to the podcast, just go to Bokeh Podcast, BOKEH podcast.com. I'll throw that up on the screen for those of you watching on the video. Or you can go to just Bokeh Podcast on Instagram and see the latest episodes that are coming out. Haylee does an awesome job of running that account. You can see her using Buffer, even an example of how she uses that app. So go check out Bokeh Podcast. Tim Kasperger is a good friend of mine. who runs Color Ink Lab. He said, good stuff, Nathan. And Tina actually commented in. And by the way, Tim, it's good to hear from you. We need to catch up soon. I'll make sure to give you a call. And then Tina says, I drive my family crazy. I need to grow that tree. I will give this info to my ADHD son. So
you're welcome. Hey, I want to hear I want to hear feedback. Okay. I want Tina to let me know personally when she downloads this out, how much it's changed her life. Because I guarantee you, if you use it, it'll change your life.
Awesome. Great, guys. This has been so awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for listening in and watching here on Workflow Wednesday. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bokeh Podcast. Will you let us know what you thought by leaving a review of the podcast in iTunes or the Apple Podcast app? And I'd love to hear from you personally with your thoughts about the podcast and maybe suggestions about future topics and guests for the show. My email is nathan@photographersedit.com. The Bokeh Podcast is brought to you by Photographers Edit, custom image editing for the wedding and portrait photographer. Visit photographersedit.com.